Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to make the most delicious vegan gluten-free brownies that doesn't use any refined sugar. It was a bit of a challenge that was posed to me on social media. Somebody wanted to know how to make some healthy treats, and I love a good challenge, especially in the kitchen. These brownies are fudgy and chocolatey and so moist and delicious. They even had my kids saying, "Mom, these are better than the real brownies." And they don't go easy for health food. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is add 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder into a bowl. And then to that, we're going to add 1 cup of hot water. So you want to use the hot water because that is going to allow our cocoa powder to bloom or bring out its best flavor. And you can leave that here for about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, we can get our pan prepped. So I really love this individual brownie pan. So you can see they're just little individual squares, and that way you don't have to actually cut the brownie. Everybody gets their own little portion. The individual portions also allow us to put different toppings on the brownies. So if you like nuts, cranberries, cherries, or my personal favorite, a little dusting of cocoa powder, you can do that. I'll leave you a link in the description. It's in my Amazon shop if you want to know where to get one. Okay, so I have sprayed my pan with some non-stick baking spray, and then just go ahead with a pastry brush and make sure that it's all well distributed. Okay, and then you can set this aside and we'll go back to our batter. So I'm going to replace the white refined sugar that I would normally use in brownies with an unrefined golden coconut sugar. So coconut sugar is made from the sap of coconut trees. It's then left to dry out so all of the moisture comes out of it, and then it turns into sugar. Why a lot of people like it is because it absorbs slower into the body, so it has a lower glycemic index. So now we can just whisk up our cocoa powder and it'll just dissolve into our warm water, just like that. And then we also want to add the coconut sugar. So this might look like a ton of coconut sugar, but I find the coconut sugar also isn't as sweet as regular sugar, and we just put 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder in here, which is pretty bitter. So it does need a certain amount of sweetness in order to kind of taste like a brownie. So in it goes. I'm doing 1 cup and 1/3. And I like to mix up the sugar first just so that it dissolves. So you can see it dissolves so beautifully, just like real sugar. There. Then to replace our egg, I'm going to be using 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce. Typically these little containers are 1/2 cup, so it makes it real easy. In it goes. Now you could also use a banana if you wanted to go that route, but then you're going to have the flavor of the banana, and sometimes people don't like that, although I think that would probably be pretty good with the chocolate, to be honest. But I like the applesauce because it doesn't have any flavor, and then you just get that pure chocolate flavor. Okay, and I feel like it tastes most like a traditional brownie with the applesauce. Then to replace the butter that I would normally use in a brownie recipe, I'm going to be using 1/2 cup of coconut oil. Now this is refined coconut oil, and I do that so that it doesn't have any kind of coconut flavor. If you like the flavor of the coconut, then I would use unrefined. You'll see it's marked on the label which one it is. Okay, and then you just melt it in the microwave or over the stove top for 30 to 40 seconds and it will liquefy. And then you also want to add 2½ teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Here we go. So that's basically the wet ingredients. We're going to set this aside and then whisk up the dry ingredients. All right, let's talk about the flour. So I really believe for these brownies to get the best texture, it's best to use an all-purpose or baking gluten-free flour because these flours are typically blends. So they'll have a little bit of brown rice flour, a little bit of tapioca flour, and that's going to give us the really nice fudgy texture, a little bit of potato starch. So it's really balanced for baking. And I'll leave you links in the description of my 2 favorite brands that I think work the best. So I have 1 cup of the gluten-free flour in this bowl. And then to that, I'm also going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And then you can whisk that up until combined. Then you can add the flour a little bit at a time to your wet ingredients. Now, gluten-free flour is a lot denser flour. So while in the beginning it might feel like a very thin batter, once you add this gluten-free flour, it's going to start to really absorb into the batter and become a very thick batter. But that's what we want because it has a very similar texture to regular brownie batter, and that means we're on the right track. Okay, then you want to use an ice cream scoop to fill each well, and you don't want to go all the way to the top. So one of the things about using these individual brownie tin is that if you fill it too full, they actually get kind of concaved in the center. I used to think that that was because they weren't baking long enough, but even with increased baking time, I still got that. But I didn't get it when I didn't fill it up too full, so that's a tip. Then once you fill the tins, you can add whatever toppings you like. I like to do a mix of walnuts, cranberries, dried cherries would also be really good. And then you're gonna bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for just 14 minutes. I think that is the perfect amount of time. And then once they come out, allow them to cool because they'll be easier to release that way. You want them to set up a little bit. Well, I hope you guys enjoy these brownies. Let me know in the comments if you try it. I want to know what you think. Traditional brownies or vegan brownies? What's your new favorite? I know what mine is. This one.